Welcome, everybody, to the second edition of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. I'm Ross Benjamin. I'm joined by my co-host and sidekick, Las Vegas professional sports handicapper Chip Chirimbes, veteran Las Vegas sports handicapper. I thought I'd throw that in because we are both veterans and grizzled ones at that. Chip, how are you today?
I'm fine. I think you're doing pretty well yourself. We're a pair of geezers out here in Las Vegas and in New York and doing the best we can. But, experience tells the tale many times. And we've been through this, and the pandemic and COVID really hasn't hurt us at all. And I think it's probably even sharpened our skills in so many ways. And we're looking at things from a different venue. We've made great adjustments. I know you've had some great success in the NFL, and I've been running away with it in college as well. So, it's the state of the union here, and we have to adjust to the times.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to evolve, right, Chip? Because this is we've never had to deal with a lot of the elements that we've had to deal with this year. And in all fairness, so is everybody, so it's a level playing field. It's how you evolve. And sometimes you need to make some tweaks to your approach and your handicapping methods. And we've done so. I mean, I know you said, you've done very well in college football, and I know you got off to a slow start in the NFL, but that doesn't mean you're not going to end up with a winning record. And based on last Sunday's performance, I would think that you're on the right track, as you had a very good day in the NFL on Sunday. Fill the folks in on how you did.
Well, in the NFL last Sunday, I was 4-1 with my paid plays. I call it Fab Five, and it's been coming along. We hit every Thursday, Sunday night, and Monday night. We took this past Monday night off. You and I had discussed the Giants, and sometimes you said you have to hold your nose.
We just said, I know, man. We just said no Cayunes.
Yeah, I've had such great momentum with it, and have a great play this weekend. So I'm really satisfied with where we are, and the information, like I told people, it says you have the same access to the same information as I do. We just interpret it different. And I'm on one side for the most part, and you're not. And maybe you're at another game and you don't see what I see. And you look at things, and our communication between each other has been great, sharing information. And I think we've been helpful to each other.
Yeah, and it is. When you get two handicappers together, and I go through this with Ron Raymond as well, you have to respect the other guy that you're talking to daily. Otherwise, you're not talking to him daily, right, Chip? It stands to reason. And the bottom line is talking to guys with different perspectives, sometimes it challenges you and makes you better. And I think I can't speak for you, but I know from talking to you, that certainly has been the case. It's not like a competition. It's a challenge that you have to bring your A game and say, hey, what could I add to this conversation so we could help each other so it's a win-win, I
don't begrudge anybody a winner. You know what I'm saying? I don't care where it comes from. It's so difficult to beat this number, and whether you're doing it through a total or however you may be accomplishing it. It's the goal. It's why it's what we're doing. And we've had a pretty good instinct into what's going on. I mean, I've been doing this a long time. I'm in my 4th decade of doing this. So
you've been going back to the A play.
I started in New York. So I'm loving it out here, and I think we're having the best of it right now. And what kind of action we have? What are we talking about?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the NFL today. So let's get right to it. Let's start with the game between the Seattle Seahawks and the Buffalo Bills. Right now, the Seattle Seahawks, a 2.5-point favorite. Large total here, Chip, 55.5. Actually, if you look at a couple of sports books, Seattle's up to 3. So if you're looking at a Buffalo play, I would shop for the best line. That's where it's at right now. Again, we're taping on Wednesday, November 4th. So depending on when you view this video, these lines are subject to change, right, Chip? So
absolutely.
Buffalo 6-2, Seattle 6-1. We talked about Seattle on several instances. It's hard to imagine how this team is 6-1 straight up and 5-2 against the spread, as bad as they've been defensively. But the answer to that question is one guy, Russell Wilson, and a guy that Chipper has had a headache with over the last couple seasons. But I'll let you take it away, Chip. Your early thoughts on this contest.
Thank you, Ross. And I have to admit it. this guy has been my nemesis, a thorn in my side completely. Russell Wilson, of course, we're talking about. Yep. You were the one who pointed out Seattle's defense about their flaws and how weakness. You've been saying it week in and week out. And by the way, that's probably why you've been so successful in the NFL, is the way you've been able to observe this stuff. And right now, Ross, they're ranked 32nd, 464 yards. 32nd is last, by the way, folks. 464 yards a game, and yet they're 6-1. Why is that? I mean, they were averaging, they're number 3 offensively, fine, but Russell Wilson is the most efficient player in the NFL right now to me, because this team is, their numbers come out, their stats come out where they're a 500 club. They could be 3-4. Yeah. And yet, you know, they're just a great team on the road, a great team as a favorite on the road, 7-3. And Buffalo, we spoke about them earlier, and you know, you were walking around like, what's that big chest Brown?
Yeah,
that guy?
Oh yeah,
you were
on my chest, man. You know, I'm telling you, the first 4 weeks they look lights out.
And they're 6-2, 3-5 against the number, and you know, they're only 3-8 their last 11 at home against the number, and 0-4 in their last 4 games overall. They've been the beneficiary of 11 turnovers. I think that's really helped them because, you know, we spoke about how at the beginning of the year, Allen was throwing the ball well and running and when he had to, and now I don't believe he's throwing the ball as well, and the run game just isn't enough. So they've been struggling. I mean, and here they come, and they're getting points at home where they haven't been the best either. So yeah, tough matchup for Buffalo, and Seattle has that nemesis out there. They play well on the road. They really do.
Well, you know, my assessment of Buffalo right now is I'm not worried about their offense if I'm in their corner, because even in the games that they struggled to put up the points they did early in the year, they're still moving the ball consistently. The one game they didn't was against Kansas City, and that was that game where the weather conditions were terrible, and even Patrick Mahomes struggled a little bit in that game as well. So, you know, this is the second time the Buffalo will be an underdog all year long. And it's at home, and it's second time as an underdog all year long, and second time at home, because the only other time they were a dog, Chip, was against Kansas City, and we both remember they didn't show up in that game. As a matter of fact, as you put it to me, they were outclassed. So it'll be interesting stepping up in competition here. I think Buffalo will have no problem moving the ball on the Seattle defense. The problem is going to be, and what I think their problem is right now is their lack of consistency on defense. You're talking about a team, Chip, over the last 3 years, been, you know, top 3 defense in all of football, statistically anyway. You know, and now this year with high expectations on the defensive side of the ball, they're not holding up their end of the bargain. I mean, their 2 best games defensively were against the Jets. You know what I mean, Chip? You got to show that you could stop a quality team now.
You know, they got off that great start. You said, like we talked about that for 4 games, had played well, and they were walking around with some bravado. And talk about lackluster wins. I mean, they beat the Jets, okay, and they just haven't played all that well. Everyone thought they were going to run away with the AFC.
A little bit
East
lucky last week too, right, Chip? I mean, if not for that Cam Newton fumble, right?
Well, absolutely. Well, you know what? They forced the play and they made the play, so I give them credit for that. But statistically, they could have lost that game just as easily. And what happens then? Now we're looking at them in a different light. And like we said at the beginning of the year, when they were 4 after the 4th game, we would expect that this matchup they would have been a 2.5-point favorite and not open a 2.5-point dog or 1.5-point dog running to 3. Exactly. So it's the sign of the times, I guess. You know, they haven't. Are they going to come up and rise to the occasion here? We'll have a little more information as the week progresses.
And Friday we're gonna reconvene for the NFL. We will be on again tomorrow right here on the OSGA YouTube network. By the way, folks, it costs you nothing to subscribe, and if you do subscribe, I appreciate it, and we appreciate it very much. And also hit that bell, the notifications button, because anytime any sports betting videos go up on the OSGA YouTube channel, including this show that will be on 4 times a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday going forward, you'll be notified right away when we publish our videos. So let's get to the next game, Chipper. Chicago Bears at the Tennessee Titans in Nashville. And the Tennessee Titans are a 6-point favorite right now, and the total is 46.5. Both teams reeling a bit, Chipper. Both coming off back-to-back losses. The Chicago Bears coming off that overtime loss at home to New Orleans last week, a game that they could have very easily won.
Yeah.
And the Tennessee Titans, after that tough battle with Pittsburgh, they lost that heartbreaker. Last week, they laid an egg against the Cincinnati Bengals. What do you see as your early outlook about this contest?
Well, Russ, when we first discussed this game, my first thought was that the public would gravitate towards Chicago because of how well they played last week, and they're getting 6 points. And Tennessee, of course, is reeling a little bit, going 2-5 against the number on the season. They are 3-1 at home. They've split those 2 games against the points. And in our mind, we think about the Chicago Bears being a strong, upfront defensive team, a hard-nosed team. And their offense is 29th, Ross, in the NFL, and their rushing averages 85.5 yards a game. They haven't played well on the road, only covering 3 of their last 10. And, this season, I told you how we expect the Bear front line to be taking over games. They're giving up 120 yards a game, which is the middle of the pack for the most part. So they're not intimidating anybody. And most of their games are playing to the under. And the Titans, after that great start, it's like somebody punched them in the stomach and the gut, and they need to take a breath. And I still think this line is strong, very strong. And I was trying to figure out why, and we had discussed it. Not only is Tennessee's offense number 5, and with Derrick Henry running the ball, they're leading with 156 yards, 407 total yards a game. But they're dominant on the defensive end against the run as well. So where are the Bears going to go? Javinsky's sprained his elbow, arm, shoulder, leg, throwing one play last week, and you're stuck here. It's a hard play to take the Bears, other than the fact that the Titans don't cover at home ordinarily. 1-6, 1-5, I think, in their last 6 home games. So tough call, because the Grime and I just instinctually, my feeling is that the Bears are going to come and play tough again. They played tough last week and lost. Tennessee needs time to take a breath and suck up and play well, but they only need to win the game, Ross. A lot of people have to understand that. They don't have to win the game by 14, 18 points. They just have to get that W.
Yeah. Urgent situation for both teams, in light of their 2-game losing streak. Somebody's going to walk away on a 3-game losing streak here. The only thing I will say about Tennessee, what concerns me, is their defense. Okay, I'm going to take a contrarian approach here. What you said, they stopped the run okay, but they're very vulnerable against the pass, Chip. And if you look, I believe they're giving up right around 27 points per game this year, and well over 400 yards of offense to the opposition per game. That's not very good defense. They've been bailed out by the fact they've been able to force 12 turnovers. Yeah. They're starting to remind me a little bit of the Baltimore Ravens in this respect. Not as bad, okay?
A better quarterback.
I don't have time to go on that rant again because we only got 40 minutes here. But you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Tennessee seems to be a front runner, okay? When they fall behind in games, you saw it last year in the postseason. You saw it last week against Cincinnati. Not a great defense, buddy. But, when you take Derrick Henry out of the equation and you got to become one-dimensional late in the game because you're behind, can Ryan Tannehill lead you to the promised land and win a couple games in the fourth quarter for you? Well, we'll see going forward. Your thoughts?
See, my thoughts are this is the point exactly, is that the Bears' formidable front doesn't really exist anymore. And the way the Titans have to get back is to dominate the ball on the ground, and they've been doing that, and now they're not facing a formidable Bear defensive front that's only allowing 60 or 80 yards a game. This team's giving up over 120 yards a game.
Yeah.
So they should be able to run the ball. And when I started putting those numbers in that equation together, and I usually don't look at games in this vein, and I said, just without any hanky-panky, if this game goes off, they'll run the ball down the Bears' throat, and they'll win this game.
Yeah, part of the reason with the Bears too is, and again, I'm not making excuses for them, and I'm certainly not negating the point you just made. I think it worn down late in games. I mean, their offense can't sustain drives, Chipper. And they're on the field so much. So, but we'll see. I mean, it's a very good point.
having a really poor rushing attack plays right into that. So they're not going to sustain drives.
You said what, 89 yards a game they're averaging?
86
okay, so they went over 100 last week, which surprised me. Okay, 106. And prior to that, the 4 games prior to that, they were averaging 43 yards per game rushing during that time. Well, you can't get it done. Now you can't run the ball. You can't protect the passer, and you have an immobile quarterback. You know what I mean? So not a good combination.
You're playing to the under. The Titans are definitely playing to the over. So I don't know where you'd go with that. I think it's a really tough call, but it'd be an interesting game because the Titans can put their running game together. Yeah. I don't see the Bears having the offense to come back and win it. I don't.
Talk about interesting games. The Baltimore Ravens will go to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. Yes. Right now, the Baltimore Ravens are a 2-point favorite at Indianapolis. Something's got to give here, Chip. Indy's 3-0 at home, and the Baltimore Ravens are 3-0 on the road. I'm going to let you take this because I can go on and on and on about Baltimore and what my feelings on them and my feelings on Lamar Jackson. But I'll let you take the thunder away.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and I'll use some of the things that you had mentioned that we had spoke about together. Baltimore is not the type of club that looks like they're built for the playoffs. When they meet, they're like the Yankees were built for the home run derby, and when they get in the big games in the playoffs, they just don't have the all-around talent and balance, and that is the Baltimore Ravens. You have a quarterback that's the MVP because he ran for over 1,000 yards. Well, against the better quality teams, Ross, they're going to stop the running games, make him throw, and they look miserable, and they struggle. That being said, they're still one of the most powerful teams in the league. Doubt. We had them last week, and they outgained and pushed around the Pittsburgh Steelers and lost the game outright. And they could have had a late win without even covering, and they didn't even get to that. And it was all Lamar Jackson because in the big games, I'm sorry to say, a one-dimensional guy, even with his talents, teams are not going to get there because teams like the Steelers and the better clubs will just shut his running game down, and he struggles. Now that being said, Baltimore, just whether they've been the Colts or whether Indianapolis has been the Colts, they've only covered one time in the last 11 meetings. Yeah. Indianapolis has dominated them in a personal head-to-heads up. Can the Indianapolis defense, the number 2 rated defense in the NFL, can it stop Lamar? And they're only allowing 293 yards a game total. Yeah,
but
and most of the times when these two are playing, it goes under 11 of the last 12 meetings.
There you go. There's a good stat to take a look at. I will say this, those numbers are a bit askew because Indy again, you can compare Indy's defense to Buffalo's offense. Indy's defense in the first 4 games, like Buffalo's offense, got off to a great start. The Colts were allowing 12.6 points per game and about 236 yards per contest in their first 4. Over their last 3 contests, they haven't been as good. But, they're capable. This is a good defense. Baltimore is a good defense. This is a real interesting matchup. Something's got to give. Like I said, both teams, one team undefeated at home, the other undefeated on the road. If Indy can get the lead in this game, Chipper, and maintain the lead going into the fourth quarter, again, you're going to expose the vulnerability of Lamar Jackson. Can he bring a team back to win against a quality club in the clutch in the fourth quarter when he has to do it with his arm, and you take away the Baltimore running game and his scrambling ability? So again, Chip, final thoughts after that?
Is that sometimes the beat goes on. There's just certain teams that have another team's number for one reason or another, no matter who's there. And a lot of stats and trends we talk about nowadays say that the Patriots are so skewed because there is no more Tom Brady, and they're a totally different ball club. But Baltimore's 31 in pass offensive and number 1 in rushing. Well, you know what it is, Russ? When you're number 1 in rushing, you're averaging 180 yards. If you're number 1 in passing, you're averaging over 300. Right. And the difference, the variance is too great here. I just think the one-dimensional. Aren't you kind of surprised that this game just actually opened up at a pick'em? I was kind of surprised that they gave the Ravens that much respect after what happened last week.
I agree. I was sort of surprised to see Indy as a dog here. and especially Baltimore coming. I guess they're looking at Baltimore coming off that loss. How are they going to recover against the loss against Pittsburgh? Anytime you play a team like Pittsburgh, it takes a toll on you physically. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
we'll see.
Indy. And this is even before Rivers, and includes him. They seem to play well against teams with winning records. They're 12-4 in the last 16 meetings when Seaman was above 500. So they take other teams seriously, and we're going to see what happens. How Rivers what he's going to do with that defense. The Ravens, he's going to be floating that ball to the sideline, and Ravens can win this game on defense by itself. I think that might be incorporated into the line because. He does have a propensity to let that give up that pitch. Yeah,
I mean, he threw 21 picks last year against 20 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So
and this team returns them.
Yes, and they're very opportunistic defensively. They put pressure on the quarterback, force you to make quick decisions, and even a veteran like Phillip Rivers, even though he's very vulnerable to throwing interceptions, I wouldn't be shocked at all if we see him get picked off a couple times in this game. Let's look at the next game, the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins,
Hey, doing a great job down there. And
not for nothing, right? They're going to Arizona this week, Chip, on Sunday. In Arizona right now, 4-point favorite with a total of 48. Couple of surprising teams. It doesn't surprise me where Arizona's at.
Right.
I predicted them early in the year, and I also said that keep an eye on Miami as an underdog in the first half of the season. They're 5-2 against the spread, actually 5-1 against the spread in their last 6, Chipper. This is
I know when they lost.
I know you do.
Seattle.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, your thoughts. This is an intriguing matchup.
I think it's a great quarterback matchup.
Yep.
Both of these guys are going to be wearing the number 1 on their jersey. And I think that's kind of interesting because Tua was the number 5 pick, and of course Kyle Murray was the number 1 overall pick. Year under his belt, the experience helped. But how about Tua's debut? Yeah. Here, Miami just smashes the Rams, takes them out of the game the whole game. The Dolphins had 130 yards total.
145 yards.
There you go. And he passed for under 100 yards, 91 yards, and
12 for 23 for 90 yards, Chipper.
How do you think that's going to equate on the road?
Yeah, I know. Again, we'll see. We'll see how he does when he has to actually move the team offensively. Because last week, Chipper, as I touched upon with you on a couple occasions, they got outgained in that game 471 to 145.
Right.
Okay. The Rams turned it over 4 times. The Dolphins returned a fumble, 78 yards for a touchdown. They returned a punt, 88 yards for a touchdown, and they started with 2 short fields because of Rams turnovers. Again, tough call at this particular juncture, Chipper, but a game I'm really looking forward to watching.
I think it'd be an exciting game to watch. I mean, Miami has to be the biggest surprise, or one of the biggest surprises in the NFL this season. And, do you think that these quarterbacks take these matchups personally?
Yeah, I'm sure they do,
Okay, but, these two met in an NCAA championship game, and Tua ate them up when Murray was for Oklahoma, 24-27, 4 TDs.
Yeah. Actually, it was a semifinal that game.
Semifinal, right, but that's the Final Four series. And Kyle Murray had 107 yards rushing, and that was the big, now. But this kid, he's an athlete. This kid for Arizona, I love watching him because
he's so exciting to watch.
He's a shortstop to me. The Raiders.
You love shortstops, don't you, Chipper?
Well, because it
shows the athletic ability, right?
Yeah, and give me a good, solid defensive catcher, and I don't care what he hits.
Yeah,
and let him control my staff, and and I'll do okay.
Exactly.
But he's leading a team that's 7-2 against the number in their last 9, but as favorites, he hasn't adjusted to that role yet. And neither has the public or the odds maker. I think they're 2-5 as favorites in his short tenure there. But when I saw Tua, I thought he looked small. I thought he looked small. I didn't think he looked like he was as strong. Now, Kyle Murray doesn't look at like he's weak in the but Kyle Murray has that quickness and that speed and his escapability, which very unique. And it's great to watch. I just hope he stays healthy.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty good at not taking a direct hit. You got to give him that. Yes, exactly. So again, a real good game to look forward to. What do you think on the public action area? You think they're going to go and lean toward the Dolphins, who've won their last three with a little bit of momentum? Yeah, as an underdog, that's what I was thinking as well. So
I think they would be. I don't know. It's still for us only Wednesday, and I've just posted for Thursday college, but anyway, we'll talk about that tomorrow, I imagine. Yeah. We have this is a great matchup between these guys. I'm interested to see how Tua develops. Okay, he didn't have the greatest of games. He didn't make too many mistakes. He gave the ball up on a fumble. Let's see. I'm wondering if he's strong enough. I'm just wondering if he's going to. Doug Flutie was his size, but Doug Flutie was stronger, and he can throw the football. Tua seems very accurate, and you like these quarterbacks that are able to adjust on the move and throw the ball from the side, or he's got great football instinct about lobbing the ball over a defender's head. Maybe he just needs a little more time. Playing against the Rams is no treasure. And, they shut down the Dolphins. Yeah.
And let's not forget, they controlled the tempo of that game. They were playing with the lead throughout. So they really didn't have to open the playbook up for him last week.
I think they only had 8 first downs, Ross. And how do you win in the NFL with 8 first downs other than converting to punt and kick returns and then
short fields, with
fumbles in crucial situations. And I mean, it's interesting now. They're on the road, and I don't think the Arizona Heat should bother them.
And let's not forget, I mean, this is a quarterback that went down last year with a dislocated hip. Okay, and we'll see how he fares in the wear and tear weekly. I hope the kid does okay, Chip.
Yeah, it's a miracle. I think that he's playing. I'm hoping this is going to be a give and take, high scoring game and keep our attention. Because I want to see Tua. I'd like to see him make it. I really would. And by the way, if you didn't catch his brother with NC State upsetting Maryland the other day, you missed something. His brother from the right side.
Impressive.
I liked him. I'll tell you that.
Yep. All right, let's get to the next one, Chipper.
Okay.
Big NFC South matchup between the 5-2 New Orleans Saints and the 6-2 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A rematch from Week 1 in which New Orleans won at home. Tampa Bay, a much more cohesive unit, I guess we could call them at this point, than they were in the opening week. And I'm still wondering about New Orleans. Again, you're looking at a team that's won 4 in a row in the Saints, but they failed to cover in their last 3. And to me, Chipper, they've been overvalued so far this year. I don't think they're as good as they were in past years. And I think it's reflective in the line that they're overvalued and in the results. They're getting by, but they're not covering. Now they face a Tampa Bay team equally as hot, having won 3 in a row and starting to really gel, especially offensively, and a very underrated defense, right, Chipper?
Absolutely. Now, this New Orleans team, they just don't look like they're ever achieving anything to me. They're underachievers in my mind. They're 7th in the NFL in passing. With Drew Brees, we expect him to be number 1, 2, and 3. The rushing D is, 90 yards a game, but they're not taking the ball away. They're 30th among 32 teams. They did one thing they do well, and they've surprised me and they've hurt me. Now, what do you have as a number on this one, Ross, right now?
Right now, Tampa Bay is a 4.5-point home favorite, and the total 51.5.
Well, they're certainly giving Brady a lot of respect, and with all his new tools that he has to work with, and plenty of firepower there. But, the Saints, how disappointing they have been for me at times, they're still 20-6 on the road as dogs. So, I mean, they come to play when they're getting points. So you have to give the coaching credit on that for sure. But their passing games are dead even. What's going to happen? Can Tampa establish the run? They really haven't as of yet. But they're number 1 in rushing defense in the entire NFL. They're only giving up 70 yards a game.
And they were number 1 last year, too, Chip. They're really good against the run.
There you go. So no wonder they've just been adding the pieces on offense from Gronkowski to Brown to whatever, Evans or whatever he needs. He
Yeah.
You know,
And let's Antonio Brown, from all I heard, is going to be making his debut this week. How much of an impact he has, we'll find out.
And you know how you always mentioned how somebody like trends or angles can be bogus, and I'm going to give you one right now, and I'm warning everyone out there: don't pay too much attention to it because I don't know if it has any value whatsoever. Tampa Bay 7-19-1 as home favorites the last 20. Well, guess who's been quarterbacking that team the last 27
Jameis
days? It
Winston.
It wasn't
Santa
Thomas.
Claus, the black Santa Claus.
Yeah, it wasn't Brady. That's for sure. So they played even with what they have now, they've gone under 9 of the last 12. This is going to be a great Sunday night game to watch, and I think by game time, you and I are going to have an opinion on it one way or another. Right now, I really couldn't pull the trigger here. Saints only 2-5 against the number.
Yeah.
Tampa's starting to gel and put it together, but we'll see what happens.
I don't have New Orleans road record in front of me this year, but I know for the last 2 seasons, Chipper, this team has gone 14-2 on the road in regular season road games. So they've been a very good road team. But again,
2-1.
2-1 this year,
and 1-2 against the number.
Okay, so that makes them 14-2, 16-3 since 2018.
How about that?
On the road during regular season action.
Yeah.
I mean, so you can't ignore that, right? I mean,
what's your instinct here about the public sentiment when they see this game? You think they're a little rolled into Brady right now because the Kamara problems with the Saints,
right? Because the general consensus probably is going to be, well, you know what? Tampa Bay lost to this team in Week 1. They're going to be playing with revenge. New Orleans has been uninspiring, especially over the last few games, even though they're winning,
Right.
And now you're adding in Antonio Brown, which that's going to capture the public's attention. So,
Absolutely.
I think I don't think it'll be lopsided, Chip, because you're still facing Drew Brees and giving him an underdog price. So I think you're going to see maybe a little bit tilted toward Tampa Bay, but not a lopsided margin when it comes to money or the volume of bets. So, again, another great show, Chipper. Hey, bring the people up to speed on where they can find you, get your picks, and tell them how great you've been doing lately because you've been red hot.
Thank you for that. I had my 8th straight winning Saturday, and we were 5-1. We had our Fab 5 went 4-1. We lost the Penn State game. That was our only flaw. And we have an early bird game that we give out for the noon start. 4-0 now with North Carolina, big winner over NC State. So we've been rolling with that. We just, I don't know what it is, Ross. I don't know if it's the epidemic or what we have going on out there, but everything just seems to coming into place, and I'm very relaxed about what I see out there. And on Sunday, of course, we had our best Sunday of the season so far. We've now hit 7 of our last 8 NFL releases, and we're really rolling. And, if anyone's interested in giving me a call at 702-931-CHIP. And I'll just, we can have a conversation about what's going on in the NFL.
Say that number again, Chip.
My number's at 702 in Las Vegas, 931-2447. That's 702-931-CHIP.
And I could testify, folks, I'm about as honest and transparent as they come. I talk to Chipper every week. I know his picks before he's going to put them up. Of course, I don't share that with anybody, but I know what he's saying is true. I know I've watched him for years. I highly respect Chip Chirimbes, one of the best handicappers you'll find anywhere on the internet. And again, give him a call. Let him tailor a package for you. Your money will be well spent. Chip, here's the other thing too. And we talked about this, and let's just talk about this briefly because we got to close out the show. But I think that break that we had during the pandemic where everything got shut down, it made us appreciate how the kind of living we work in, how we love what we do, the passion for what we do. But people don't realize we're 24/7 with this. I mean, we don't get days off. You know what I'm saying?
I never in my life have I had nothing to do. I mean, at no time was from the time I was 13, I was, you're working with your father's print shop or whatever. But this 5-6 months, there was just nothing. There was nowhere to go. We were closed down. We couldn't go. We couldn't have meetings. It was,
But
I agree with you. I agree with you that now we have a better outlook. We have a more appreciative outlook at what we're doing.
Yeah,
and I think we discussed this. We just seem to have a better feel for what's going on out there right now on the field.
Yeah, you know what? And where I was going with this, Chip, is no matter what profession you're in, sometimes you need to step away for a while. You know, we haven't had that luxury. It was forced upon us.
We work every day.
Yeah, and sometimes your brain just needs to regenerate. Your focus comes back. You see things more clearly, and I think that's what we're seeing. By the way, folks, myself, you could find me at rbwins.com. NFL, I've been absolutely on fire, 26-15 with my last 41 in the NFL, and I really only went 2-2 last week. So prior to that, you could see how hot I've been. That's 63% over my last 41, including 10-5 with my last 15. When you go there, you can get my daily packages Monday through Sunday. I don't guarantee those. Those are designed for people who like to dabble in once in a while. But my weekly and monthly packages, 7-day, 30-day packages, I do guarantee them. If you're not making a profit when your subscription expires, I will extend your subscription until you do. And why I do that is quite simple, is I have confidence, like Chip, that if you stick with me, I'll make you money over the long haul. And that should certify the confidence I have with that guarantee that I give you. That's rbwins.com. Chipper, once again, great show. I'm Ross Benjamin for Chip Chirimbes. We'll see you again tomorrow with the Winner's Circle right here on the OSGA YouTube channel.